and hope it works okay. I'll hang it on a sort of chronological thing. You know, Ron's from California, and I learned these things sometimes before dawn in the passenger seat of his car or truck or whatever it was at the time. But 1964, Ron came to the National Speleological Society convention in Texas, and he knew something special was going on in Texas when that was just as those big Mexican caves were getting a lot of exposure, and some of you folks in the room were there. That's when he decided he was going to come to the University of Texas. And I don't know if I get all this right, but these are things I learned from him in the pickup truck. I moved into East Austin in 1976, and Ron and Pam were living around the corner in a house on 16th Street next to the stone cutters and the greenhouse that was over there that several cavers, Jim Hirschberger, Ed Alexander, various people, I might forget a few of you in the room here if you're still alive, who lived in that greenhouse for a while. Michael Keatron, I think, was in the attic. I think Andy Grubbs took me over there once in '73 to see a slideshow in the attic of one of those houses over there. But anyway, that became the alternative nexus of Texas cavers, Austin cavers, UTG cavers, living in that part of East Austin that was the alternative to Kirkwood. Many of us have lived at Kirkwood, and some of us moved down. There's one right there. And so we had quite a community of people that wasn't just cavers. Pete Matamoris from 15th Street. There was, well, anyway, there were a lot of cavers living in the neighborhood. So it's an excuse to go on it was close to be able to connect to a caving trip or whatever. So I remember Ron, I'm going to ask, does anybody have a Stanley thermos, a green Stanley thermos that they might have inherited from Ron? Because Ron would serve coffee in this green Stanley thermos in the front seat of a truck at 5:30 in the morning before dawn as we would go out to West Texas or someplace to go caving. And if you have that thermos, it has a lifetime guarantee, and I hope that he gave it to somebody so that lifetime can continue. But I have mine because Ron told me, you need to get one of these. This keep your coffee. So I did actually once drive over it and bend it. And I wrote Stanley, and they sent me a new one. So I have the old one for sentimental sake and the new one. I hope Ron's is floating around somewhere out there, or maybe it's still in a pickup truck someplace. But Ron would, we would go on some trips. And I'm a geologist now, and in part, the joy that I learned from my craft came from some of from some of Ron's orders and suggestions and requests. So when you spoke a while ago about Ron telling you to write this up, when he took me with me on some contract job in early '76 to go look out there near Decker Lake, I was required to write a report. And I was just an undergrad, but he said, give me my report. So he insisted that I write a report and get it to him. But he took us on various trips, caving and some archaeological stuff. And I let's see, I can't stick to a chronological issue here, but when we went out to survey, this is when he started working for Parks and Wildlife for quite a while into that career. We went out to survey Seminole Sink. It was a little sinkhole across the canyon from the park headquarters at Seminole Sink historic area. So Bill Elliott and Ron and I surveyed this cave, and it looked just like one of Ernie Lundelius's paleo sites or something. He had this filled in talus pile, one end and a talus cone. Ron got the Parks and Wildlife funding and to do a test excavation here, and it turned into a multidisciplinary project with the Solvay Turpin, Lee Bement, and I was going to say Herb Alexander, but I don't know. Anyway, there was a group of people, including Ed Alexander, but I managed, on Ron's suggestion, I managed to get the job of being the sedimentologist on that project, and a chance to publish when all that project was done. And we found the remains of, I think about 23 early archaic burials that had been cremated and put into that cave. And it was a really wonderful project to be involved with, because what it helped me do was become better at my geology. So really a great project. And I'm going to skip forward. There's other Ron Ralph stories, but I was privileged a few years ago to be contacted to do a drone survey. This was after I retired. And we did the drone survey of a project that was they were just clearing the grass at this big educational complex in Sugar Land, Texas, which turned into the project that Rain was working on, were the remains of about 95 to 100 and something African American prisoners in the state prison system had been leased out for prison labor to sugar plantations in post Civil War Texas. This was a very important project that Rain worked on and published, and I was just so glad to be able to be connected to that too. But anyway, Ron always said, "You owe me a report." So, okay.